Hello, everyone. This is Flyby Films at Night. This is my sexy voice. I want to put you in a deep, deep sleep. Lull you to sleep. Yes, close your eyes. Oh, close them. I saw you. I saw you open that one eye. Close them. Now. Yes. Now, think happy thoughts. Happy thoughts. And think those happy thoughts throughout the episode because this could get crazy. Jameson and I are both very sick. And this is what happens when two sick idiots decide to podcast, anyways. So here we go. I'd like to introduce my co host, Jameson Barsotti. He's probably never heard his name said in such a sexy way. He's probably highly turned on right now. I can't help that. It's just natural.
It's so
Hi.
sexy, Blake. Um, Man, I definitely feel like you win the sexy voice for sickness contest. I just feel like
Yeah,
mine is like nasally and yours is just like super gravelly, like, yeah, fall asleep. But
it's
yeah.
it's it's both. I've had it both ways. This is primo right here. I think if you caught me earlier in the week, it might have been the other way. So mainly because I couldn't breathe. But uh, what are you
Oof.
suffering from, Jameson?
I don't know. I'm just treating it like it's the Rona. Like
No.
I took a test and it said negative, but those things are commonly false positives, so I've been staying in. Luckily, luckily and unluckily, I work from home, so I was able to take one day off midweek, and then since my job is just like sitting at a computer, I couldn't really justify like, well, sitting on my couch or whatnot. But yeah, that's basically how my week has been. What about you?
Yeah. Uh, so this started about a week ago, a little over a week ago, and it wasn't too bad. It was mainly just a little stuffy and whatnot, and then I went to Corpus Christi over the weekend for some time with my wife's friends and so that they could see Seamus and all that. For those who have not been listening, Seamus is my son. Just so you know, that contextually that'd be an issue. So I'm not just randomly carrying around some dude with me named Seamus. So, anyways, I just want to clarify. Um, so yeah, I got a little bit of sunburn. Our flight back was none too great in that Seamus refused to go to sleep, and so he was
Oof.
a little terror the whole last flight back. It was an hour of dread, and we made it. It was after midnight when we got home, and I, I got the sickness just got worse as the week progressed. So I finally went to the doctor yesterday. Fell asleep, thinking I was going to get up to record this podcast and overslept, which is why we are now recording it on Friday night because we normally record on Thursday nights.
Yes, I'm
But
sure.
I, what's that? Go for it.
I'm sure the our loyal listeners have caught our schedule at this point and are very put
Yeah,
off by
yeah.
that.
I mean, our most loyal listeners um, should know that by now. Um, that's just common. Whenever you listen to the first three episodes of the podcast, you should pretty much know everything about the hosts. Um, so yeah, for tonight I prepared. My wife steamed up some water with some hoodoo oils in it, and I
Nice.
stuck a towel over my head and I just breathed that for about 10 minutes. And then I took a shower, and my wife gave me this soap that's like shampoo and conditioner and body wash all together because that's the kind of person I am. And it's made of sandalwood. So I just, put the oils all over me. And then I
That
just,
sounds
and then I
very
snorted Sinex in front of Jameson before we started this. And I told him it was cocaine. So
well.
there you
Everything
go.
except the snorting sounds relaxing. So
Yeah, it was nice. It was nice. The snorting was very nice too, minus, there was no cocaine involved. It was just a little minty up the sinuses, which isn't a little shocking at first, but it feels good afterwards.
okay, okay,
So
sounds
I am fully prepared for tonight. I did not go to sleep for fear that I would not wake up again, and I am raring to go.
well, Blake. I forgive you for leaving me hanging last night
I
while
appreciate that.
while I waited for you to wake up from your nap. I just thought
Yeah.
maybe you had fallen down a hole and you know, you just weren't ever coming back.
What
But
was it like? Was it little Jenny in the well, or
little
who was
Blakey,
that? No, the little baby, or like the little 20-month old that was in the stuck in the well, and like the well in the 1980s or something. I don't
oh,
remember. Yeah,
yeah, I don't have a good memory for that.
yeah, I don't either.
No.
I don't remember anything about it. I just remember it being lampooned on Simpsons, so which is highbrow as it gets. So
Extremely.
yeah,
Uh, hey, so you did say something exciting at the beginning, though,
what's
right?
that? What did I
The
say?
very first thing you said was "Welcome to Flyby Films," which is
Nights.
our official
Yeah.
name. We finally have a name for this podcast.
Mm-hmm. We have a name. We remember, if you listened to the last episode, we gave ourselves permission to just shout out a name during the run of the last episode, and neither one of us shouted something. And so once the recording got shut off, we officially had a name, and there was no changing it in perpetuity. So if either one of us makes a lot of money off of this, we cannot change the name.
No, no
Yep.
changing. No
Nope.
change backs.
No change backs.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we do have a name, and along with the name, what do we have, Jameson?
We have some cool, fancy artwork that my
And
wife,
ooh,
Kira, she designed it.
yeah. And how long did it take her? Because she's a whiz.
It took her like an hour.
Yeah,
We just needed to
yeah.
supply her, we just needed to tell her what we wanted, and then she just drew it up real fast. So yeah, if you're listening to this and you haven't looked at the artwork, check it out. My wife is a very talented artist, but
I would
but
I would say
presumably,
yes.
yeah,
Super
presumably
talented.
you've already seen the artwork if you've clicked on the show. So, but
Yeah,
yeah, check it out. It's pretty cool.
yeah. We actually had a listener, which brings us to another thing we've got to do before we get into the meat of the podcast. Is that we had another listener tell us that some of our links were dead because we changed our name, and I thought I had handled the whole thing, but I didn't handle everything apparently. I wasn't on my game this week. So,
All
uh,
your our
would you like
links are
would you
dead.
like to introduce your friend who mentioned this? Because he left
Yes.
us a message. It's our first message, and we're going to play it live.
Yes, we're finally getting we're interacting with our audience, and our audience is interacting with us. This feels like a real podcast at this point.
Hmm.
Um, 3 episodes in, we've arrived.
I've done
Um,
3 podcasts, and this is the most listener interaction I've ever had.
this is exciting.
So take that for what it is.
Big moments in podcasting. Um,
Hmm.
anyway, this is from listener Nate, who has loyally been watching the movies that we've been suggesting
Oh
as
wow.
we go through these podcasts, which is a level of commitment that is awesome. So
Yeah.
um,
No,
we
thank you
really
so much,
appreciate.
Nate.
Yeah, we're gonna play his message on the air.
Hey guys, this is Nate, and thanks for the shout out, Jamie. I'm just giving you guys a shout out back. Thanks for the podcast. It's been great to listen to you guys. I've been able to watch movies that I never would have thought I would listen to or watch. And it's been, honestly, I was a little bit, wasn't sure about how, an almost 2 hour podcast was going to be on a movie, but you guys talk about so much more than movies and about about life and the world, and I super appreciate that, and it's been super fun. I laugh and I think so. It's been great. I look forward to what you guys have to say about Brubaker, and looking forward to the movies in the future. I'll keep listening. All right, bye.
That was a hell of a message.
Yeah, that was.
Great message.
Thank you, Nate.
Yeah. It's true because all of the best podcasts don't actually talk completely about the thing that they're about. At least the ones I listen to. Well, take that back. It's about 50-50. You get the straight laced ones that are just like a narrator who hosts something and talks about it for 30 minutes. Those stick to the script. But the best ones are like Comedy Bang Bang, where you don't know where any episode's going to go at any point. So,
Yeah.
have you
Although
ever
what
listened to that? Being a
I,
podcast fan yourself?
I have watched a couple of the TV versions of it.
So you
I have
got
a
a basic idea. Yeah.
I have a basic idea.
Yeah.
Um, I have my record with listening to podcasts is spotty. This is a dark secret of mine, is that I don't really listen to podcasts. Um, so
Well,
I
that's not that bad.
yeah.
Matter of
Uh,
fact, I went through a phase earlier in the year where I didn't listen to any because I had gotten tired of it too. So I did about 2 or 3 months without them. It was a nice cleanse.
a pod cleanse.
Yeah, a pod cleanse.
I was gonna say what the listeners don't actually know is that this is a scripted show. So
Yes,
every
very much
everything
so.
everything we say has been written down before. I know
And
that might come as a surprise, but
we're actually Shakespearean actors. That's how quality we are, and we can really give the vibe of improv and really not knowing what the fuck we're talking about. So yeah, I just want to second what Jameson was saying there.
yeah, the prompt is actually that I have to try to act like Blake, and Blake has to try to act like me. So we're actually our personalities are switched in real life.
Oh
So if you
wow,
ever meet us, yeah,
that's how in character I am. I didn't know that.
yeah, you didn't
Yeah,
know that
mm-mm.
because I
That's
wouldn't have known
just how
that.
deep. Yep, exactly. That's how deep in character. That's how deep into Jameson I am. That sounds really bad. Almost
That
like
was
nerd buttons.
uh, deep into Jameson is worse than trying to turn me on with your sexy voice. So
That's true. That's true.
yeah, you
Yeah,
found a
yeah. I
new
had to.
low.
Yeah. Well, this is also only the third major episode. Just give it time. So I see a line, I cross it. It's a thing I do. Everyone who knows me knows that. So I have
Blake
no
Collier,
shame. It's
perpetual
like
line
it's like
crosser.
I'm constantly trying to get canceled, but no one knows me, and so no one cares to cancel me. And so like it's sad, really. It's sad that that's a achievement I'm aiming for, and it's sad that no one knows who I am, including myself,
Blake, I
because
know who
I'm
you are.
Jameson.
Yeah, because I'm you.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's right.
All right. I think we're beating this joke into the ground. Um,
It's the best kind
but
of joke, really.
yeah, ground jokes,
Ground jokes.
ground beef, ground. Man,
Yeah,
I don't know what I'm saying. I'm gonna blame all of this on sickness.
I told you it was going to be a crazy episode.
I
We're
did
both
have,
sick.
yeah, I did have some Dayquil before the episode, and then I made myself a hot toddy, and now I'm kind of realizing maybe I shouldn't have mixed Dayquil and alcohol. So I'm gonna
This is
blame it
going to
on
be
that.
award-winning podcasting. Just to wait.
Award winning.
So, with that being said, have we covered all of our business?
I think
Your
so. I
your
think
lovely
so.
wife has made brilliant artwork, and you need to go to if if you downloaded our podcast in the last week, you should have seen the new podcast art. And we'll talk about the other area where you can see it at the end of the show because that's pretty much the place it deserves. We don't like to talk about that until the end.
Yeah, we'll have some more for you.
Yeah.
This is forward promoing for the
Yeah.
end. So you gotta stay tuned.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
foreshadowing. All right,
So
yeah.
so Jameson, I gave you the film Brubaker, 1980. I found out, and I did not know this until I did a little bit of research on the film itself, because I'm one of those people I like to look up directors and see what else they've done because I find it fascinating sometimes. You look at people like, the director of Black Christmas, and he did The Christmas Story and Porky's, and you're just like, that is either a guy who doesn't know what he's doing or the most brilliant director ever, and I don't know which. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with living in that tension. But so I looked up the director of this film. Sorry, I don't remember his name. He is dead, so he will not cancel us online, um, unless it comes from the grave. But he directed another favorite film of mine, Cool Hand Luke, which anyone who has seen film about prisons, Cool Hand Luke is one of the greatest. I've got a friend actually who comes from the panhandle of Texas where I was born, who wrote a brilliant piece on Cool Hand Luke and Minority Report and his dad, who was a prison guard, and it was awesome. And so I may add that into the reference notes, even though we probably won't reference it. But it's worth reading if you're a fan of prison and uh, Foucault, the panopticon, the all-seeing eye of the prison. So, yeah, it's Anyways, so Brew Baker, 1980. Did you know anything about this story?
No. Going in, I didn't know anything about it. However, prison reform and in general criminal justice reform is actually something I'm very interested in. So when you suggested this movie, I was very, very excited and very, very happy to watch it and kind of learn more about this history. So, but going into it, I hadn't heard anything about it. So, Blake, before we get further
Jameson
on,
is currently looking off camera, frozen in the abyss of the internet. Will he come back? Will he come back? Is it his
Blake,
internet? Is it my internet? It could be either
I,
one, really. Who owns the internet?
I
Is there
promise that
such thing as
my recording is
the internet?
working right now.
Well, he has
You
left.
there?
Is he going to come back?
I'm back.
Yes, he's back. Don't worry, I gave a little bit of narration.
I do think
Got a little
my
philosophical.
so I think my recording was going, so you're gonna
Hmm.
hear you're gonna hear two tracks of us trying to connect, but not
That's
being able to.
I
So,
love it. Oh, it's doing that thing again where it says you're offline.
but I'm
That's cool.
actually still there.
But your thing is still going, right? You can see
Yes.
your little waves. Okay, then
Yes.
we're good. We're good.
So,
So
I
Sweet.
think where right before you said that I was off in the nether regions, um, that was unfortunate. Um, I had said that I knew nothing about the movie, and then I was going to pass it to you before we got any further into it to maybe set us up with what the story was and what it's
Yeah.
about.
Yeah, so Brubaker is a loosely, it's a fictional retelling of a true story, uh, a prison scandal in Arkansas, and which, if you no, I was about to say if you've read anything about the Arkansas prison system, and I realized at that point that literally maybe two people in the world, and one of them we're probably going to mention his article, have know something about Arkansas prison systems. So, um, yeah, we it's basically a story of Tom Merton, who is named Brubaker in the story. I don't remember his first name. I never remember his first name, no matter how many times I watch the film.
It's
Um,
it's Robert Redford, so we can just call
yeah,
him
Robert
Bobby.
Brubaker. Yeah, Bobby Brubaker. That's gonna be hard. It's gonna be really hard for me.
Bobby B.
Bobby B. Yeah, so he comes to the prison, this Arkansas State Prison, which at the time they held on to the system of imprisoning prisoners who basically it was a trustee system, what they call a trustee system. So the prisoners would guard over other prisoners, um, and which is a wild idea, not outside of the realm of historical precedent. This has happened before, but in modern day, like in the last, in the 20th century, this was not something that you saw very often. And so um, he comes in. He's a penologist, so someone who studies penal systems. Has which has always sound dirty to me, and I can't
Man,
help
we
it.
have to we have to laugh,
Yeah,
and
it's
penologist is
no
really
one,
funny.
no one no one laughs at it, and I think it's because they're trying really hard not to, because it's such a heavy subject, and so I feel bad every time it happens, but I just need to get it out of the air.
But it's
It's
just such a
out there.
funny word,
Yeah,
penologist. I have to
he's a
say, I have to
yeah,
say it
yeah,
again.
yep,
Let me
that's
just say it
right.
one more time.
Okay,
Penologist. Okay,
penologist,
I've
yes.
got it. I've got it out of my system.
So he studied American penal systems, which, for those who may not know, I think most people probably know, it's the prison system. Um, and he comes into this trustee system. It started out as Tucker Prison, and then it came to Cummins Prison, and they don't show that in the film. They just show him coming to the bigger of the two. Um, and He tries to reform the prison by basically admitting that these men in this prison are human beings. They're not meant to be animals to be whipped and treated with, no, with disregard. Um, he tried to get money to the prison system so that they actually had a barracks where the roof would not fall in. They tried to get food. They tried to get tractors and things like that, because this was a farming prison where they were, in theory, supposed to grow their own food. But there was money that was supposed to be for that. And they never got a tractor. They never got any of the stuff that they was supposed to be for. And so he basically comes in at the governor's behest, and he tries to install all these reforms. Now, the part of the story in the movie that's not actually, at least from what I know of, the actual prison scandal, is that he doesn't come in as a prisoner. That was a false element of the movie. It was a
I,
nice touch, to be honest. I like it, but
I was going to ask about that because that was the one thing when I was reading about this that I didn't hear touched
mhm.
upon at all. And definitely it was one of the biggest flourishes of the film.
Yeah, yeah,
was how it begins. It's kind of like starts out like an episode of Undercover Boss.
yeah, yeah. But way better, way better.
Prisons.
I don't care how stupid the whole gimmick is. I love it. I love it. I love the side eyes he gives everything. Like he sticks out like sore thumb. Anyone who would have known a warden would have been able to pick him out in a crowd. He doesn't belong there. He's clearly not one of them, and yet they still largely ignore him. And I think it's hilarious, but I like it. And sets up the, I guess one way you could put it is that it sets up the thought process the behind his understanding of reform. You have to understand what it means to be a prisoner. Yes, you are there for a reason. You did something that caused you to be there, or in some cases, not in every case. Um, we can get into that later, but um, in theory, like if you put yourself in the shoes of the prisoner, then you would, in theory, lead that prison differently. And so, yeah, he goes through, he ends up doing all these reforms. He makes a lot of people on the higher ups angry, and he ends up hearing from an older prisoner who had been there 2 years past his release date, and no one had told him. Um, and the man admitted that there were bodies of prisoners buried out past the prison. And so, being the young, hunky reformer that he is, he goes out with his men and they dig up a lot of land outside of the prison. And they end up finding 3 bodies in caskets. And um, basically, it comes down to the fact that the governor wanted to hide this because it was embarrassing to him. And so he fired him. And that actually did happen. That was a real thing. He lasted a year at I believe it was Cummins prison before he got fired by the governor, the very same guy who brought him in because of his discovery of these bodies, what became known as Bodiesburg, Arkansas. Um, so yeah, that's the basic story. It's super simple. Um, it's the movie is more melodramatic than I remembered it being, but I still loved it. Um, and holy shit, it had Morgan Freeman in it.
So this was the first thing that I was gonna say was it had a great cast. Like,
Yes.
yeah, Robert Redford is in it, that's who you see on the cover. That's what
Mm-hmm.
like the type of movie you're getting into. He's the cool hand Luke guy. He's the cool guy.
Yeah.
But it had Morgan Freeman. It had if you're a fan of Twin Peaks, it had the guy
Mm-hmm.
who plays Big Ed in
Yep.
it. He actually he's really gross in the movie, but
Mm-hmm.
he looks really cool. Like
Yeah.
his style in the movie, he wears this beanie that's rad. Um, and it had M. Emmett Walsh in it,
Yes.
who
It is amazing.
he's one of my favorites. He you might remember him from Blood Simple and millions of other movies, but
Well, and don't forget, if you're a fan of Quaker Oats or uh, American Liberty Insurance or reverse mortgages, or more on my level, The Thing, Wilford Brimley has a small role
oh
in the
yeah.
movie. So, yeah, there's plenty of reasons to love this film. The acting is superb. There's some great people in this.
Also, apparently Nicolas Cage is a background actor in it.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that.
I
I was
I
never
I
saw him
didn't
though.
see him. I didn't spot him, but in reading up on it, I saw that, which was interesting.
That was his first film, right?
Uh, I don't remember. I mean, he
It
must.
wasn't like a first
He
film, like,
yeah, he
but the
wasn't
first role he was
he
in a
wasn't
film.
credited. I know
Yeah.
I know his like first credited role was like Fast Times at Ridgemont High,
Yeah,
where he's credited as Nicholas. Uh, who's the
Coppola.
Coppola,
Yeah,
yeah, because he's a Coppola.
yep.
Um,
He's one of those people.
yeah, like I, I feel like everyone's a Coppola.
Yeah.
Um, we could do a whole episode on Coppolas.
Oh yeah. I mean, top 10 directors is a Coppola. That's not the one most people are probably thinking.
Yeah, I mean, there are some good movies that have come out of that family. Um, okay, so second thing I wanted to say is I went into this movie not knowing anything about it,
Mm-hmm.
and I think you're right. It maybe lays its melodramatic hand a little too much.
Yeah.
I didn't love it,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
but the story is so interesting. It's definitely worth watching to get more of the history of what
Mm-hmm.
happened.
Yeah.
Um, but but it does kind of play like a made for TV movie
Mm-hmm.
in a sense, and when you watch it and you watch the credits, you see that um, Tom Merton, right?
Mm-hmm.
That he was
Not to be confused with Thomas Merton, the monk.
yes, yeah, not to be confused, but he was very heavily involved in the process. So it almost comes off like, an autobiography of this was my life and this is what I tried to do and stuff. But that being said, you know, as minor of a film as it is, the story is incredible and
Mm-hmm.
it's worth watching just for that too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I can't disagree with any of the critiques for sure. I think I think a lot of mine is wrapped up in some sense of vague nostalgia. Um, I don't think I've seen this movie in like 30 years. I think the last time I saw it, I was fairly young, and I watched it with my family. I remember my dad being a fan of it, which was odd because he did not particularly care for actors with politics that did not agree with him, um, which would mean that he couldn't watch a lot of movies uh, and be consistent about it. But um, yeah, he had a strange affinity for this film, and I remember watching it and really loving it at the time. And I still I still like it a lot. I don't think it holds up near as well as I was hoping it would, um, except for Morgan Freeman. Good lord, give the man an Oscar, and
yeah.
not for Driving Miss Daisy. That's a shit film.
Yeah, I feel like there's so many other movies that you could give him an Oscar for, and
Oh,
then the
Seven.
one, Seven,
Yeah,
Shawshank, another
yeah,
Morgan Freeman
prison
is in
film.
prison movie. Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Don't give him an Oscar for Driving Miss Daisy. You know what? I don't care. Give him an Oscar for whatever you want.
Yeah,
I
Chain
don't care about
Reaction
the
with Keanu Reeves. Give
yeah,
it to him.
yeah.
No one remembers that film. I don't even remember it. I remember I saw it in theaters though.
I remember the name, and I
Yeah.
remember that Keanu Reeves was in it.
Yep.
Um, don't know if I remember that Morgan Freeman was in it, but I'm
Yep.
trying to envision the poster for it, and I think I see his face, or I'm just
Yeah.
projecting his face onto it.
Two of the greatest actors of our time in the same film together.
Was that the only movie they've been in together?
That was not the reaction I was expecting. Uh,
Well, I
I'm a little saddened. I love Keanu Reeves, and of course I love Morgan Freeman. I mean, he's the voice of God. So
what was
I
the
mean, that was
reaction
a
you
little
were
weird.
expecting?
I most people when I give Keanu Reeves more credit than he deserves, people scoff.
Oh, I
So
mean, yeah, I'd like to see those people pull off Bill. So,
Yeah,
or was it Ted? I always forget. I always
it's Ted.
forget. It's Ted.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Ted. Yep. Which the third Bill and Ted movie is worth every minute of it. So just
Yeah.
just for your knowledge,
Okay.
that was a freebie, guys. I don't just throw those out willy nilly. That was just beneficence on my part.
Thank you. I
Yeah,
actually haven't seen it yet, so I'm going to take that
yeah,
recommendation.
it's
Um,
fun. I mean, if you like the other two, if you don't like the other two, you're not gonna like it. So
yeah, but if you don't like the other two, you probably aren't listening to this podcast.
yeah, let's be
Let's
honest.
let's be honest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I feel like Bill and Ted is pretty universal for a type of dumb moviegoer.
yep.
Um, yeah. Uh,
Dumb moviegoer that doesn't watch it for the reasons that a lot of other people do has more on its mind than it probably deserves to have on its mind, like time travel and history.
yeah. Oh yeah. I do you get a lot of like cool like history vibes from watching it?
I I it's more funny now. I mean,
Okay.
back when I was a kid, it was awesome because I was like, oh, it's Genghis Khan, it's Napoleon, all these people, and now I'm like, oh, they picked all the shitheads. That's
Of
funny.
of course, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Getting back to the movie, getting back to Brubaker, yeah, I thought it was wild that you mentioned how they didn't have, there were supposed to be these grants for these like farming tools and farming machines, but it was crazy to me because I guess they even had like insurances out for these things,
Hmm.
but they didn't even have them. So they were paying
Yeah.
insurance policies for these things when they didn't even have them. And he was just trying to get someone to kind of pay attention to like how poorly they were using their money.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he couldn't even get that.
You could almost make an argument that uh, Tom Merton was really just using their own economic well being to against them.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and the whole like was it trustee system
Hmm.
where that thing was wild to me. I still can't believe that like there was such a thing, what, 50 or 60 years ago,
Yeah.
like in the
Hmm.
United States. Because the movie kind of opens where they're bussing in these prisoners to kind of be initiated into the prison to serve out their sentences, and then the bus stops, and all of a sudden these people kind of ride up. I think they're on horses, right? Or
Yes. I
yeah,
think so. Yeah.
they're on horses and they have guns, and they're also prisoners, and they had just shot a guy who was a prisoner trying to escape, and they were trying to like get him medical attention. um and it's just wild to me that they had that they had some sort of system where these people didn't just leave, you know.
Yeah. Hmm.
And I I know that there was like some deals made that if they were to shoot a someone escaping, they would have their like sentence commuted or something like that,
Yep.
which also seems uh, weird to me. But it almost, I mean, it almost feels like the government kind of set up this like Stanford prison experiment with
Hmm.
the prisoners within their system.
Yeah.
Um, you know, where they gave some of them power and didn't give others power, and then watched it just kind of play out. So
Well, and perhaps the weirder part of the whole thing is that Tom Merton came in and didn't want to change that system. Like he wasn't there to undo that system. He was there to make it quote unquote more democratic per se, um, to where it wasn't becoming its own like uh, class. Uh, like the trustees weren't becoming like high on the hog, stealing all the food. They weren't becoming the bourgeoisie, while the rest of them were suffering and didn't had shit to eat and barely had clothes on their back and whatnot, and were constantly fearing long distance phone calls, as they called them, which that was the hardest thing to read in the article I sent you. Um,
Yeah.
the So this article that we are talking about off and on is written by Colin Woodward, and as far as I know, he's probably one of the main writers on the Arkansas prison system, specifically Tom Merton and the prison scandal. But he wrote an article for the Arkansas Times, and he breaks down the whole kind of history of this event. And one of the things he talks about is one of the punishments was what they call a long distance phone call, which is this phone box that they had. They would hook up the wires to a prisoner's genitals, and they would crank it, and it would send electricity through their whole body from their genitals. And um, it was just a phone call for those who just had minor punishment. But one guy had what they called a long distance phone call, and it sounded like that it might have done some permanent damage.
Ugh.
Um, and uh, and this, I don't know how screwed up this makes me sound, Jameson, but the whole time I was thinking, man, if one of them, like some smart ass who was getting the phone call, would have just yelled out, "Hey, hey, someone needs to call me collect, bitches," because you know what that means. It means the person you call pays.
Person receiving pays.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. I said the wrong thing.
Oh no,
That's not uncommon.
it's fine. We all knew what you meant. We all knew what you
Yeah,
meant. Yeah,
yeah.
that was horrible, and that's what ended up, you know. So I think you mentioned the person, in the movie, and I don't know what correlates to real life and whatnot,
Hmm.
but apparently the long distance phone call was a real thing that they had in the movie. And in the movie, the person who tells him about Bodiesburg and kind of informs him about it,
Hmm.
who has already served his sentence and just
Yeah,
hasn't been let out because no one cares about bookkeeping,
yeah.
um, has he the trustees kind of gang up on him and do this long distance phone call, and it's definitely one of the sadder moments of the movie.
Hmm.
But
Yeah,
uh,
it's horrible.
but yeah, it's interesting that he doesn't come in and just immediately abolish that trustee system
Yeah.
too. That he wants to kind of make it, somehow make it work. So in a sense, like, you get that he understands kind of limitations and things like
Hmm.
that, because I think at one point they kind of mentioned too, like, once you become a trustee, then if you ever don't become a trustee, the other prisoners will kill you,
Yeah.
because there's such, it's not really like, I don't think the animosity is established in,
No.
there's no scene where you see it, but you
Hmm.
hear about it, and it makes sense in that way. I do you know, like, how the trustees were chosen at all? Were they like, how do you like be an exemplary, ugh, uh a good prisoner to be chosen for this?
I mean, I'm gonna give you the most cynical take. in the sense that in my head, I can see a warden who is like, let's get the meanest sons of guns who will punish them endlessly and keep them in line and install them. I doubt there was any kind of vote or election or anything like
Yeah.
that. I think literally they probably just picked the meanest people, or the people that seemed the most ripe to misuse the power of that place. Um, and and I think it's interesting. It's an interesting dynamic because I don't necessarily disagree. Because on one hand, you could say that um, the trustee system is pretty kind of brilliant in some ways, because who understands the plight of the prisoner more than another prisoner? But you add in, human characteristics and dynamics of power and uh, different treatment and things like that from the higher ups, and it changes the dynamic. But I can see a world in which Brubaker or Merton comes in and he's like, I mean, if we actually have people that the prisoners choose to be the trustees, then in theory, there would potentially be a sense of respect, or at least a mindfulness that they're not going to always be, um, you know, making choices to harm us. And so, yeah, I wouldn't, I'd be remiss to say that I would choose that system, but I can see the logic, at least.
It's also very, cost
Prohibit, yeah,
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 cost efficient
yeah.
because you don't have to pay these people. You
Mm-hmm.
pay them, and I guess that's maybe part of what's so evil about it is you pay them implicitly in
Yeah.
power. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's the draw to it. And so kind of going in, like, oh, here's this thing, you can abuse it a little bit,
Yeah.
we'll let you. It's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like agreed upon in that way. I think what's interesting though too that Brubaker does is so he does tamp down on some of the power that they have by
Yeah.
immediately he says like, you know, I it's funny because they like immediately ask him like, so you just want us to let people escape, like you don't want us to be good trustees? And he's like, no, if someone tries to escape, shoot them, like still do your job, they need to be here.
Yeah.
But he then says, but you're not going to get your sentence commuted
Yeah.
for doing that, so like,
Mm-hmm.
but you need to do your job, you need to keep people in here, like,
Mm-hmm.
um and then he also, I mean, maybe I missed something, but it seems like he also forms some other committees of prisoners who aren't exactly trustees, who are
Yeah.
built on making other decisions that are more, about the community and community based rather than overseers.
Yeah. Yeah. It does seem like he's introducing various checks and balances into the system, so that in theory one group doesn't have more power than another. Um, how well that works, who knows? But um, I mean, that's the hard part about the whole thing, is that you you have to, like, you're weighing two things. Like, if they're actually there for a crime they committed, then there is a quote unquote social element to that imprisonment, but you can't treat them like dogs. I mean, and so it's that back and forth, like, and uh, the prison systems have failed on both ends of that scale. So, um, Yeah, it's I don't I am one of those people that doesn't think that there is necessarily a full on solution to the prison system. Um, I think it has to be pretty. It's got to be dependent on understanding the region and the type of criminals that are going in and various other factors before you can really make a whole lot of uh, decisions. But Jameson might know more about this than I would because he's a prison reform guy,
I don't know about that.
which
I
I'm
did want
super excited about.
I did want to ask you one more thing about the movie before we go on to like the
Big
prison.
stuff.
Yeah, because you did give me another article which was about how, ideas for how we fix the prison system now, which, man, we're going to have to talk about like that transition because like this movie talks about a prison system that is almost ancient at this
Yeah.
point
Mm-hmm.
too, because like I honestly, immediately, my first thought was like, oh, this prison looks nice. Like when you first
Yeah.
see it, because
Mm-hmm.
you see people playing cards, they're like playing
Yeah.
music. There's a couple shady things happening here and there, but like
Yeah.
overall, everybody just seems kind of joyful, and there's like they're in, there's room for people. They're all kind of like hanging out together,
Mm-hmm.
and it starts to get a little darker and you see like what's wrong with this prison, but
Yeah.
like, oh man, if you compare like even just like the size of the prison then and now, and
Yeah.
oh, we'll talk about that, but I did want to ask you, so probably what bothered me the most about the movie was there's this part at the end
Mm-hmm.
where he's on the he's like with the with the governor, and there's like a whole like table of people, and I don't know if it's a state senator or maybe like it's some politician
Mm-hmm.
is there, who is another kind of like liberal reformer type, um and they have a conversation at the end. Basically the guy is like saying like, you have to stop digging, they're going
Mm-hmm.
to fire you, you have to stop digging because what you're doing is helping, and this is just a stunt.
Mm.
And Brubaker responds by saying, you don't get it, you don't get it, you need to stand, you need to uh take a stand, you don't understand what it's like being in prison. And he's like, shut the fuck up,
Yeah.
buddy.
Yeah.
I spent 2 years in, Georgia State Penitentiary.
Mm-hmm.
Penitentiary. I know what it's like. I've been there,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like the movie walks away from that, painting that person as kind of like, someone not willing to take an ideal step, like take
Mm-hmm.
take a stand. But I also don't think that person is wrong. I
Yeah.
kind of feel like maybe Brubaker could have done more
Mm-hmm.
if he had not, if he had stopped digging. But I don't know, maybe because this made international news.
Yeah.
So maybe the pressure from all that actually did help more. But you never know. You don't really know
Yeah.
what like pathway in history. But I definitely think I feel like the movie didn't deal with the ambiguity of like, what if he was right? Yeah,
Yeah.
what if Brubaker was wrong? And I think part of that was because, you know,
Yeah.
it felt like a Tom Merton biography where
Yeah.
he wasn't gonna, or autobiography where he wasn't gonna like say like, I made the wrong decision. I think he
Yeah.
was gonna side with himself on that.
Well,
Um,
and that whole mentality is doubled down on in the final scene, which I despised. Uh, where all the prisoners come up to the fence and clap as he drives away. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hated it in Dead Poet Society. I hate it. I always will hate that kind of story. I hate it. It's the dumbest thing ever, and it's cheap. It's cheap, and I can't like it. So yeah, I had strong feelings at the very end of that film. I was like, this is bullshit. Yeah, exactly.
sorry.
So
I was just applauding your speech
yeah,
on that.
yeah,
It just moved me
yeah.
so much.
Yeah. It at that point I was like, okay, this is the story of one man and his ideals.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, this is no longer an interesting film. Um, this is Dead Poet Society. This is that kind of movie.
yeah,
And so yeah, I was not happy when I finished the film. I did not remember that from long ago, and yeah, it left a bad taste in my mouth. Um, and I totally agree because at what point, like from what little I know about his life after getting fired, he became a professor. He was on Dick Cavett. And he was a he was always very snide and sarcastic and stuff like that on those programs, and he seems like a guy that might have been going for stunts sometimes. Um, and so that makes me wonder about his character and what he was really doing it for. Whether I like his ideas or not, like, yeah, yeah, and the fact that he was behind, like he was like he had his hands on making this film. I was like, yeah, this is dirty. This feels dirty to me. So
yeah. There's a little bit of that, but I don't want to push too hard. I don't want to,
yeah, no, I
I
would
don't need
still
to
say I
I don't need to
yeah,
grave dig his
yeah,
body,
exactly,
unearth some
yeah,
stuff. But he clearly he had an impact, and it was a lasting impact, which is interesting, But yeah, could he have been even more impactful? Maybe. I don't know.
mm-hmm,
I think sometimes, yeah, we focus on big stunts and we think that those are the ways to move things, but as you already mentioned, there's not going to be a big stunt that's going to fix our prison
no,
system now.
mm-mm,
No.
no, doesn't matter how much tweeting it brings about, no much how much TikTok presence it has.
Yeah. So, in that article that you sent by Colin, what was his last
Woodward,
name? Woodward.
yeah,
He just it's about kind of the Tom Merton story, but he makes this passing remark where I guess like in Arkansas at that time there was about 15,000 prisoners,
yeah,
and then he says that's just 1/10 of
mm-hmm,
how many there are today, and that's crazy to think about.
yeah, yeah,
And yeah, if you know anything about the prison system and kind of the history about it too in the US, you know that like in kind of the late 60s and early 70s, it was actually kind of at a lower level. And then late 70s, early 80s is when it really started to kind of just explode.
yeah,
And um, it really grew quite a bit. And now the U.S. is the leader in incarcerated people by a lot. I think the next country is Russia, but we're so far ahead of them
yeah.
that it's you know it's
Well, just a note. I live in the state of Oklahoma, and I am not native here. I am native to Texas. I just wanted to make that clear. Um, I'm Oklahoman by marriage, not Oklahoman by birth. So, um, is 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 significant. We up until this year, we had the highest conviction rate or the highest prisoner rate for both men and women in the United States. Now we're
Oof.
just the men, because I think it was Mississippi that overtook us in females.
It's
But
pretty
for the
mis
longest time, we were high in females. Um, we were like number one for years, and then we just recently started. We switched, so
pretty
yeah, it's
misogynist
nuts.
of you guys.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's not definitely not the best choice if you're gonna have a award winning numbers. It's you want to make that the female, not the male.
Well, not to,
So
yeah, uh, not to leave you guys out there, but I think California, I don't know. I don't know if California is the leader in prisoners. It's either California or Texas, but California is definitely up there. And I think part of that is just
hmm
we have so many damn people. But it's one of the things that you learn is that the prison system is just completely fucked
yeah,
in every state in the US.
yeah,
It's it's not just it's not just, the conservative tough on crime states.
yeah.
It's also the big blue states that just
hmm
don't know what to do. We're in this problem, and somehow the US has let this get ahead of itself, and we just haven't figured out how to have a functioning prison system.
Yeah.
So you sent me this other article.
hmm
Um, it was in the New York Times.
I think it's
Um,
2019, something like that. It was
yeah,
written by the guy who was the founder of the Marshall Project.
yeah, it
He
was
was high
written
up in the
by
Marshall Project. So Nate
Neil
Barsky,
Neil Barsky. Yeah,
Neil Barsky. Yeah.
yeah, and it was an opinion piece where he talks about how to fix our prisons.
hmm
Let the public inside.
Yeah. And I picked this because I thought it was an interesting counter to the Merton approach,
Hmm.
because the Merton approach was very much inside out. Um, and so I was drawn to this article in the sense that it's basically working the quote unquote opposite direction. So, what do you think of this article?
I thought it was good. I think the main point, basically, I guess, the idea is that we need we need more volunteers in the prison, and we need to
hmm
open the prison up so that the public can see what it's
Yeah.
like. Um, and this is he makes some good points too, because he's approaching it as suggestions that the president can do and the federal government can do to kind of help the help uh, fix this problem. And um, the problem with that is the federal government doesn't actually have so much power in
hmm
the prison system, because federal prisons actually only have 10% of the prison
hmm
population. And that's something that is interesting, that most of the prisoners are in some state prison. And so, really, the best thing that a president can do is kind of be like a bully,
Yep.
and use the bully pulpit to encourage states to kind of do reforms. Um, and and that's kind of good. So I think he's suggesting that um,
He's basically one of the things he was saying is that all these programs that have taken place in prisons, like teaching math and science and literature and things like that, have worked. Like they've shown improvement in the lives of prisoners, and so the problem lies in that there's just not enough of them. And whenever you, as the John Q. public, uh, sees prisoners as a data mark or a um, some vague political, they're taking our taxes basically. Um, they're taking our taxes, but for what? That's the question. And the more the public sees that, I think he's calling for more witnesses. The
yeah,
more witnesses to the actual state of prisons. I'm not even sure if it's actually about the programs. I think he believes that it takes actually seeing the state of prisons to change people's minds.
yeah, I think you're right. His point is more these programs, their effect can be in getting people in there.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and one thing that the president can do is like establish grants for these things, um, and you know give the states more money to kind of fund these programs so that they're good. Because my experience with some of these programs has been that they generally tend to be uh, really overworked or um, under involved grad students
Mm-hmm.
that are, you know, I don't know. I taught some math at the Santa Cruz County Jail for a bit when I was in grad school, and it was an interesting thing. And actually, like even though it was the county jail, some of the prisons in California are so impacted that there were actually some people serving prison sentences
Mm-hmm.
in the jail. Um, so, but that program was so poorly run that it kind of fizzled out. But it was still an interesting experience. Um, but yeah, there's also a lot of things that can be done to kind of um, let the public in. I was doing some reading and I learned about this thing called the Prison Litigation Reform Act, which
Uh-huh.
basically I think it was put into play by the federal government in the 90s, and it basically puts kind of a bar from uh, letting prisoners in state prisons um, complain about the prisons and the actions in the prisons to federal governments. So they can't basically say like things were unconstitutional and my rights
Mm-hmm.
were, you know. So you know, there's a writer that I follow on Twitter, or a professor, criminologist or something, uh,
Phenologist.
penologist. I don't know. He's into criminal justice reform. I think he's a lawyer actually. John Pfaff. He's brilliant. He wrote this book called Locked In that I recommend. But yeah, one of his big suggestions is that we remove that um, the I already forgot what it's called, the Prison
Litigation.
Litigation Reform Act. Yeah. Um, and he also suggests Um, on that political sphere, one thing I learned was prisoners, when they do the census, people in prisons have to uh, basically count as living in the region that the prison is in
Mm,
rather than living at their last place of residence
hmm.
before they went to prison. Yet, if you know things about people in prison, they're probably felons. So
Mm.
they can't vote. So you can kind of imagine some of the crazy gerrymandering
Oh yeah,
schemes when you have, you know, an extra 10,000 people or however many that fit into your prison in
oh
that
man,
area. So
yeah,
that was one of his other suggestions is we change up that so we don't incentivize uh, certain representatives to keep prisons in their regions.
oh gosh.
Yeah.
Well, and so if the federal government only has 10% of the prisoners, then that means the other 90% are what, in private prisons?
No, actually, private
Or
prisons, they're in just state-run prisons. So
okay, state
they're,
run. Okay.
yeah, they're prisons owned by the state, and sometimes they're private, but that's actually kind of a huge thing is that a lot of times you'll hear articles come out that say like, "Oh, this is a privately owned prison. That's terrible." And yes, privately owned prisons, like that's terrible.
Yeah.
But I they only count for a certain percentage. Again, I think it's like I don't know. I think it's like 1/3 of the prison
Yeah.
population. So you're still left with a big problem, even if you shut down all of the privately owned prisons. Um,
Yeah. That makes yeah.
but yeah, but no, that it, that's an interesting thing too. Yeah.
Yeah. I so because I'm a weirdo, one of my one of my favorite books is a book about the Australian penal colonies, the history, and it's called The Fatal Shore: The Epic of Australia's Founding. I'm holding up for for I almost called you Seamus. So Jameson by Robert Hughes. I read this in undergrad. I had to write an extra credit paper on it. It's 600 something pages, and I read the whole thing, and I was enraptured by it, and I was like 20, so 21 maybe. Um, haven't read it since. I'll flip through it occasionally, but there's always one person that came to mind, and I thought it was an interesting parallel to Merton, and the guy's name was Alexander McConaughey, and he came down. So interesting fact: um, one of the wardens of Van Diemen's Land was a John Franklin. Now, anyone who knows anything about John Franklin will know that he was the captain of the HMS Terror, which got stuck in the Antarctic and just recently got found back a couple years ago.
Was that um was that the
The
I think
TV
there
show.
yeah, there was a TV
Yep.
show on that. Was that what it
Yeah.
was based
So
on? Okay.
Dan Simmons wrote the book Terror, The Terror, and it was based on this. They were trying to search for the Northwest Passage, and they got stuck in ice, and um, yeah, it went to hell from there. Um, so whenever John Franklin, before that voyage, he was a warden of Van Diemen's Land penal colony, and Alexander McConaughey was the guy who came with him. So he wasn't even the warden, but he was actually one of the few people who actually thought about prison reform in this like literally the only one, and the only one who had been a prisoner uh, in his life. Uh,
It's crazy what empathy will do to
it's
you.
amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
he uh, he was basically he was taken prisoner by the French and Napoleonic Wars, and he was like walked to death for like 2 years. Um, Survived and became some naval, not captain, but he went into the Navy and a few other things. But he was basically a guy who came to study the transportation system and the penal colony of Australia. And he found that he did not like it at all. Um, and I wanted to read this one thing because I thought it was interesting. Now, admittedly, this is this is early 1800s when this is taking place, so you know, just it's old. So, but he this is what he said about the convicts in Van Diemen's Land. So the author John Hughes says the convicts, he movingly argued, have these are McConaughey's words, have their claims on us also, claims only the more sacred because they are helpless in our hands. We condemn them for our own advantage. We have no right to cast them away altogether. Even their physical suffering should be in moderation, and the moral pain we must and ought to inflict with it should be carefully framed so as, if possible, to reform, and not necessarily to pervert them. The iron should enter both soul and body, but not so as utterly to sear and harden them.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Whoa.
1837.
1837.
Yeah,
Man.
and I think I sent you another piece of history that there's a English article that was or English book that was written over 100 or about 100 years ago now that uh, basically said that like it was like word for word same crap is happening now in English prisons. Of course, it's a different system. It's different types, but it was basically saying that the authors were making the point that the prison system reflects the decay of the society that surrounds it. And that, like, and they're talking about class because the English, they love class. I mean, it's the home of Marx. I
Yeah.
mean, come on now. So uh, they were all about they were all about seeing through the eyes of class warfare. So um, they saw it as the prisons were a direct lineage of the type of society that we were living in. And I think that's a pretty salient point.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I mean, that that class point, I don't know. I kind of wonder again, thinking back to Brubaker, if that kind of fits into um, that dynamic too, where you had these different levels of
Jameson is
classes.
staring off into the distance again.
Oh, but
Will he come back?
I promise
We
I'm
don't know.
here. I'm definitely here. I don't know.
Do 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 do
You there?
do do do
Because
do
I'm definitely here.
do
I can hear you.
do.
Oh, okay. Oh man, I'm back.
Yes,
I
all work
could.
and no play.
I definitely heard you until you started doing the do do do, and then you
Oh
left. So
yeah, I started doing the Jeopardy theme,
yeah,
so that should be fun. That should be fun for the listeners.
Yeah, I guess what I was trying to say was I wonder how that kind of reflects back on Brubaker too about society kind of being reflected in the
Mm,
prison system. Because yeah, you definitely had that class system kind of show up. It almost
yeah.
felt kind of organic too, like,
Hmm.
it was just kind of the way that things. I think that's what was so surprising about it too, was like it looked like a very strange prison system, but it was also very organic too.
Hmm.
Like it seemed natural in a weird
Yeah.
way. Um, and I guess that's maybe what's disturbing about it too,
Yeah.
is like, yeah, this is nature.
Yeah. And there's a reading of the film I think you could make that is kind of rah rah America, and that it almost feels like at times Brubaker comes in and he's like, "No, democracy will save the day. Democracy will do it." Now, I'm not saying anything against democracy. I think there's a lot of great things about democracy, but sometimes you shouldn't shove your show wherever where it doesn't need to be. Um, and so I don't know. I think there's a little bit too much victory going on in that mentality.
I think
Um,
I think we should have a poll for our listeners about
yeah.
if democracy is good or not, and have that be the final word.
Okay.
Have Because that's how you decide with
Yeah.
the democratic poll.
Yep. That's right. And we're going to find out because all the people who are going to listen on Spotify are definitely going to be conservative.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
isn't that like what? Well, they're gonna be listening to Joe Rogan, and then they're just gonna come
That's
over
true.
to bump over to our podcast.
Yeah, they're gonna listen to Joe Rogan and they're gonna come see our question and they're gonna be like, well, hell yeah, democracy's good.
Yeah. Um.
I haven't listened to a single minute of Joe Rogan. I don't know what his thoughts on democracy are. This
Yeah.
is all a caricature in my mind. So
Yeah. I think. I think he's bald. That's about
yep.
all I know
I
about Joe
remember he was
Rogan.
the host of Fear Factor.
He is the MMA guy. And
Yeah.
I will say, uh, I do watch MMA every once in a while, but only because I have a friend who really is into it, and I like spending time with my friend, and I'm not above watching sports with him if that's what he wants to do. So,
That means you're a good friend.
yeah.
I've got a
But
friend who likes watching MMA too, and occasionally I'll watch one as well.
yeah, I'm not going to say anything bad about MMA. I'm just going to say it's not really my thing, but
Yep.
I've enjoyed watching it with my friends. Um, so, do you have any last minute thoughts on the prison system that you want to?
Uh, I did. So when I was reading that article by Woodward, I found a couple of quotes that I thought were worth reading
Okay,
that apparently
cool.
Merton said that I think are they're pretty key to viewing it in this day and age. Um, so let me pull it up here. Yeah, so one of the things he said was while slavery was officially abolished in the South over a century ago, landholders quickly looked to the prisons for a cheap source of labor. He recounted the beatings at Arkansas's prisons, the buried bodies, and the public indifference towards them. And then later on, he says one of the judges that uh, was on Merton's side as far as his view of the Arkansas prisons, Judge Henley. Henley called the prisons a dark, evil world, completely alien to the free world, administered by criminals under unwritten rules and customs completely foreign to a free world culture. An entire prison system faces possible abolition on constitutional grounds. Um,
Hmm.
Uh, I thought those were interesting because I think for me the biggest issue in my mind is the very much the economic element is that it's a lot of free labor,
Yeah.
um, and that's sickening to me. So because it really is like Michelle Alexander says the new Jim Crow. Uh, and
Yeah.
it's not just black people. It's poor white people too. I mean it's all over the place. So um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's brutal. Like yeah,
And I
it's
think,
one thing if it's one thing if you're farming to eat your own whatever you grow. It's another thing to basically be working for stuff that people that you won't even see the benefits of.
yeah. And
Um,
I think what that quote says at the end too about how, you know, it probably would be ruled as unconstitutional, like the entire thing. I think that that's probably absolutely true, but we just don't know what's going on.
yeah,
And I think that goes back to what that article by um, Neil
Woodward. Oh,
uh,
Barsky. Yeah,
Neil Barsky, yeah, was saying was just let people in. Let people
yeah,
in. What are you afraid of? Are you afraid that you're gonna see that that
yeah,
what everybody knows? This is
yep.
unconstitutional. And you know, I mean, I think the public is also afraid of that too, because
Oh yeah, very much
you
so.
know, I, I mean, honestly, like I don't. I've only scratched the surface of this stuff. Like I try to involve myself in things and like learn about this stuff, but there's so much. It's
Yeah.
such it's such a monstrous thing that yeah, I get the idea of not thinking about it and not wanting to deal with it because, you know, you just don't have time. And
Mm-hmm.
that's fine, you know. But but yeah, it's challenging. It's
Yeah.
challenging to know that that there's this big monolith of evil just, you know, hiding in your society
Yeah. Literally right down the road
right
in a
down
lot
the
of
road.
cases.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, what's your closest prison?
You know the sad part is I don't know. That's how little like I think about this. Is I couldn't even tell you where the closest prison is.
I
And I
think
know that there is I mean, I would imagine it's I mean Tulsa has its own I mean history of cruelty and whatnot, but yeah, I sadly I couldn't tell you where it was.
that's yeah, that's fine. I think for me, either the closest one is either Folsom State Prison, which
Oh yeah,
is
Johnny
very
Cash.
famous. Yeah, very famous. Or it's a prison in this town called Susanville,
Mm-hmm.
which is north of where I'm at, and that actually that made headlines, national headlines recently because our governor wants to shut it down, which I'm all for. But that's a very small community, and
Mm-hmm.
so you get these economic issues where the community is actually built on, you know, on having that that the jobs that that prison provides. And
Mm-hmm.
actually, uh, I have my wife has a cousin who works at that prison. So,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
I it's weird because I definitely feel bad that this person is probably gonna, you know, lose their job, but I don't know. I think I think we have too many prisons and we need to
Yeah.
shut them down, so I don't know. Anyway,
Would you say you're a prison abolitionist?
yeah, let's just get rid of them, honestly. I don't know. I don't know enough to actually make a stand on that, um but I know that we have a problem. I know that we don't need to be incarcerating uh, the number of people that we do.
Billions. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
um,
No. Amen to that.
but yeah, did you have
It's
another quote? Okay.
nope.
I thought you said
Nope. I'm
two,
done.
so no, that's fine.
Oh yeah. Well, I read both of them side by side. So
Cool. Um, so are you gonna put that book into the show notes so that
hell yeah.
yeah, because I want to.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have time to read a 600-page book right now,
Yeah.
but
And it's dense.
yeah,
So
but I want to look more into that. That
it's wild.
sounds fascinating.
Yeah. It's an interesting story. I mean, it's made for a lot of jokes about Australians over the years. I mean, considering if you view it as modern day Australia, like the epic of the Australia's founding is quote unquote prison. So
Yeah. Well, um, do you have any other suggestions for our listeners on how they might get involved with information on the prison system or anything like that?
uh I mean the best thing to do is ask your local prison community because there's not a one size fits all.
Yeah.
Um it's too complex for that. But um yeah, I mean they're always asking like there's always volunteer like things you can do. I mean, hell, even writing to them is huge. I mean, just having pen pals, like it's something. I mean, um, but yeah, if you have a place where you can actually work on the local policy, then that's even better. Stand up for actual legitimate good prison reform policy. Um, Vote for it,
Yeah.
um, or vote in the people that you think will actually have a chance at getting it installed. One or the other. One or the other. So,
Yeah.
um,
A lot of stuff happens at the local level. That's
yeah,
that's really important. The judges you
yeah.
choose, the DAs in your area. Um, Actually, recently, the Shelby County, which has Memphis in it in Tennessee, had a big election on DAs and judges, and they elected out a bunch of tough on crime people in these areas and brought in some reformers too. So
Hmm.
that was pretty cool, and that was just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah. That was
there's movement in these areas, and that was that's more kind of before in the pre prison part of the criminal justice system, but
yeah, but all of it needs to be
it's
overhauled.
all
I
yeah,
mean,
it's all connected.
yeah. And I don't know. Maybe we should give them the right to vote whenever they get out of prison. Just a
Yeah,
thought.
or
I don't know.
don't confuse them on whether they can vote or not, and
Yeah,
then get mad at
exactly.
them for that.
Yep.
I don't actually. That was the DA in Shelby County, the former DA, the one who just got voted out. Uh, there was a national story about how there was a an ex felon or a felon who was told by her uh, her like guard or something like that. Someone who should have known better told her that she could vote, and she
Hmm.
voted. And then they threw the book at her,
Yeah.
and they were gonna charge her and give her like a 6-year sentence for
Yeah.
voting when she shouldn't have. And it was all because she was told that she could have voted. It's a crazy story. Anyway, it made national news and it was thrown out, which is great. But
Yeah.
yeah, it just shows you, there are people who have a punitive mindset and don't
Yeah.
think about prisons as sources for rehabilitation or rebuilding, broken communities or things like that. They just want to punish. So anyway,
Well,
vote those
that.
people out.
Yep. And the political situation right now is just more and more reason why I am looking more locally now, because I'm like, you actually have a shot at making a change there. You don't have like whoever is president. Yeah, they'll make some changes, but it's how much is it actually going to impact you? The local stuff will actually impact you. So yeah,
Yeah,
I've
I mean,
stopped giving. I've started giving up on national politics. I'm just like, whatever.
it might
So,
impact you if they sell the nuclear codes um,
oh
to the,
yeah, that's true.
to
That's true.
to the Saudis or whoever.
Yeah,
Um,
that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate.
no, I don't. Sorry, I don't mean to talk about that stuff because honestly, we don't know anything about it. It's all
Yeah,
speculative. So,
yeah.
um, but yeah, okay. So
So we
I,
decided we were going to do the reveal of the movie differently this time, right?
oh yes, yeah. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
tell Blake. I'm gonna give him a little bit of background on it.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Okay.
and I'm gonna tell him the things that the homework attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually gonna do homework a little bit different in this, because instead of articles, I'm gonna tell him that we're going to talk about two TV shows,
Mm.
which I realize watching two TV shows is maybe a lot of work. It's maybe a little bit more of an ask than
Depends on
reading an
what they are.
article,
Maybe I've seen them already.
but I know you've seen them already.
Oh,
So
beautiful.
there's actually no homework. Um,
Beautiful.
okay, so there's a movie that I love, and it's not really, it's kind of a flyover film in a sense. I don't think it's been talked about for the past couple years, but it's a pretty well respected movie. So maybe it's not really a flyover film. I don't know. But
Eh.
I love it. It's dear to me, and I want to watch it
Ooh,
again because
beautiful.
there have been two TV shows that I've watched this year that I love, and I know you love too,
Oh,
that have
adore.
reminded me
Adore.
deeply of this film. And I just want to
Okay.
talk about them all together. So the two
Ah.
TV shows are, the first one is the show The Rehearsal,
Mm-hmm.
and if
Which is
you're
currently going.
which is currently going, it's not all released yet. The Rehearsal is uh, it's on HBO Max, and I
Good
think
luck
there,
trying to explain it.
yeah, I think there's 4 or 5 episodes in.
Yeah.
Um, it's created, produced, uh, brought into existence by Nathan Fielder, who, if you're
Mm-hmm.
familiar with Nathan Fielder, he previously had a show called Nathan for You, which I think was brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And I concur.
we'll we'll get into whether or not Nathan Fielder crosses lines next week when we talk about this. But this is the show. The Rehearsal is one of the shows that we're going to watch and talk
Okay.
about. The other show is called Severance.
Oh.
So these are the two
Oh.
shows that are the homework for
Oh.
the movie we're going to talk about.
I may just rewatch them for that like just anyways.
Yeah. So
Okay.
if for the listeners, if you're unfamiliar with Severance, it came out on Apple TV, and it's just a weird, trippy sci-fi. The
Mm-hmm.
less you know about it, the better.
Yeah.
Going into it, it stars Adam Scott, um, and it also has some really really great acting in it. It has Christopher Walken, John Turturro,
Yeah.
um, but it's just really good, dark, funny. Yeah. Anyway, so
See, you were telling me that you had homework for me, and I was like, I'm basing because I told him earlier in the evening that I had two films in mind that, based off the rehearsal alone, I had them in my mind that came out the same year. But then you threw Severance in, and now I'm like, I don't think either one of those fit that.
oh, then maybe not. Maybe you're not close. Do you want me to give you more hints, or do you want to try to guess based on that?
Oh, now I'm gonna go with the two I had, and I'm just gonna pick one of them,
Okay.
even though I'm pretty sure it's wrong. Experimenter.
No, but that's not a bad guess.
Okay, I'll take it
Okay. It's not a bad
because
guess.
that is a flyover film. Good
That is a
lord,
flyover
no one
film,
talks about that one.
and it's good. Peter Sarsgaard is
It's so
so
good.
good.
He's great. Yeah, he's great.
Oh man, he does some really good work. Um, I I didn't watch the whole TV show, but my wife watched. She's really into like crime TV shows, but there's the show
Hmm.
The Killing that was
Yeah,
on. Yeah, and
I
and
watched the
that
first season.
yeah, I think he's in the second season or the third
Oh, okay.
season. But he definitely plays, kind of against type. Um, he's usually kind of like a reserved nerd type. I don't know,
Hmm.
but yeah, Experimenter is great, and I definitely think that fits into the Nathan or
Yeah,
the
the
rehearsal.
rehearsal. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you have? Okay. So the
Do you
movie
want me to
we're
tell you what the other film was?
yeah. What's the other film?
The Stanford Prison Experiment, which came out the same year.
Also in kind of in that
Not the
realm.
no, it's really not the best, but
Yeah. Yeah.
Experimenter is the best of the two.
Yeah. Have you seen the German version of the Stanford Prison Experiment? It's called I think it's called The Experiment, and it came out in like 2002.
Mm-mm.
It's actually really good. The actor who's in it, I can't I don't remember his name, but did you ever watch Run Lola Run? Do you remember
Yeah,
that
it's been a
movie?
long time, but yeah,
Yeah. So the guy in Run Lola Run is in this movie called The Experiment,
gotcha,
and it came out in like 2002, and I think the Stanford Prison Experiment is actually a remake of that movie.
gotcha.
Um,
Okay,
I mean, and it's all kind of based on, the classic
gotcha.
story.
Yeah.
But okay, so the movie we're gonna watch came out in 1998.
Oh, whoa.
It's a sci-fi
It's a
film noir.
sci-fi.
It's Dark
Oh
City.
shit. Dark City. It's that's a great pick. You know why?
Why?
Because I don't even recall if I saw it.
What? Oh my God. I think I'm overplaying. I'm definitely overplaying it because I love this movie. This movie is so nostalgic to me. It's so
Yeah,
great. But oh man, I'm so
yeah.
excited if you've never seen
I
it.
honest, I don't recall seeing it.
Yeah.
There's a possibility I'll start watching and it'll start ringing a bell, but because I in my head like I'm mixing up Strange Days and Dark City, which I think came out around the same time
Yeah,
too,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I didn't see either one. I don't think, but they were in my conscience. Like they were. They're movies I knew about, and I knew that people loved them, but I don't think I've seen them.
Yeah. Well, I'm very excited for you to watch Dark City then.
Okay, Dark City.
And I'm excited to rewatch Dark City. I also will be curious if you think that this movie makes you think of the rehearsal or Severance too. So,
Yeah,
uh,
the rehearsal is throwing me off a little bit. I can totally see a Severance tie there, but the rehearsal. I'm excited to dig into that connection.
yeah, yeah. I'm excited
Sweet.
about that connection too. All right. Well,
Well, do you have any parting shots?
oh yeah, we gotta. So now that we have a name, now that we have artwork, we also have an email address now.
Yes.
We're real
Mm-hmm.
adults. We're almost a person. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Artwork, name, email address. Those are the things you need for
Yeah.
personhood. Um, and we also have a Twitter. I think we are a person if you also
Yeah.
have a
We are a
Twitter.
person,
So,
or a really shitty bot.
yeah, I mean, we talked
Yeah.
about that last week.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly. That's
yeah,
true.
we can have personhood. Um,
Yeah. It works.
but yeah, so our email is flybyfilmspod@gmail.com. Our Twitter handle is flybyfilmspod.
Mm-hmm.
Feel free to follow us and leave us a message or send us a message. You can also leave us a message like Nate did. We would love to hear
Mm-hmm.
from you. And yeah,
And we
that's
will
my.
play it live
We
on
will
the
play it
air
live.
every single time. It doesn't even matter. Whoever, if it's the worst like review of our show, we'll play it. We don't care.
Yeah, do it. We dare.
Jameson and I might cry, but other than that, we'll be okay. We're big
Well,
boys. In a
yeah.
year, we'll be men.
Yeah, in a year we'll be men.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Blake, I have to congratulate you on making it through. Um, I know you
Man,
were
same to
sick.
you.
Yeah, man, good job.
I think you really nailed it because I only saw you like cough a few times. I feel like I coughed like every 5 minutes.
Yeah, I don't know. But I think you were like on top of your microphone. I think I maybe
Yeah.
slipped a few in there, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't hear them. So
apologies
so
to.
it, that's the way I tell it. If I didn't hear them, I don't think it got recorded. If you didn't hear any of mine, it didn't get recorded. See?
All
It's the
right.
buddy system.
Yeah, look at that. All right. Well,
All right.
bye, y'all.
Bye.